Hi, my name is Evan, and I'm a trans man from the UK, and I've been transitioning for around 10 years now. Today I want to talk about a battle that I had in my transition regarding hormones. I've tried to find something like this online, and I haven't seen anyone else make a video about it before. The topic of today's video is the talk between Sustanon and NEBIDO. I was on Sustanon for 2 years, and I've been on NEBIDO for about 9 months now. And I want to talk about the changes that I've had since swapping from Sustanon to NEBIDO, and the pros and cons of either one to me. For anyone that doesn't know, Sustanon is a quick-acting medication via intramuscular injection that can help someone who wants to start testosterone on their journey. I started on a small dose that quickly increased over time, and my levels looked something almost like a jagged peak, constantly going up, constantly going down, back and forth. The injections that I had were every 4 weeks, but I've known some people to start on every 2 weeks and go up to 4 weeks. This is typically the only time frame that someone on Sustanon tends to inject in. It was a really good starting point, and it gave me most of the changes that I wanted, such as a lower voice, body fat distribution, more body hair, and a general uplifting feeling. It also gave me tons of energy whenever I was injected. I also got offered to self-inject by my GP at the end of my journey on Sustanon, which I know is a path that a lot of trans people take, because it saves having to go to a doctor's and have someone inject it for you. I chose Sustanon over gel mainly because of the time frame, and I wanted quick changes, which I know is a controversial topic amongst some trans people. Some people think that you don't need to have injections for changes to happen quickly, but this is personally what I wanted to do. I'd spoken to many trans people before I started and knew that that was the same path that I wanted to take. It also felt like the right thing to do, seems as I have so many sensory issues around creams and gels, and I also have loving pets, and I didn't want to intoxicate them if they had accidentally licked my arm, for example. Once again, a con is that the time frame was every 2 to 4 weeks, so it was good whilst I was in school. I wasn't having to come out every day to have my gel put on. I wasn't having to rush around to try and get prescriptions quickly. It was kind of a mellow time frame. Being on Sustanon gave me tons of energy, especially once I was administered my shot. This energy would also plummet drastically once I was due my shot. Being on Sustanon and also having hormone blockers at the same time gave me many hot flushes, and this just became a tiresome routine, especially as I was looking to start a full-time job by the time I turned 18. So that's when I began to talk to my GP about possibly starting NEBIDO. NEBIDO is a long-lasting medication that I now have to take every 12 weeks rather than 4. The loading phase is a bit tricky. I went from having my normal shot of Sustanon with NEBIDO as well, to then having to wait for 6 weeks to pass and have another NEBIDO shot, and then another 12 weeks to pass to have my final one before I began my 12-weekly time frame. But this gives me more time to get my prescription, it gives me more time in work, in social life, and it's also a lot easier to source than Sustanon. I found that when I was on Sustanon, I tended to have a bit of a battle with my pharmacy, as there tend to be national shortages. Another pro is that rather than the jagged peak that Sustanon gave me, my hormone levels climb at like a slow mountain now. This is because of the long-acting factor of the medication. One thing I also found is that my facial hair started to come in really thick once I started NEBIDO. I had little sprouts here and there when I was on Sustanon, but nothing compared to now. Not that you can see much at the moment, but it's a lot better than when I was just on Sustanon. I still get a drop of mood whenever I'm due my shot, but it's nowhere near as bad as when I was on Sustanon. You kind of feel it coming on within the week, but by the time you've hit that bottom, you tend to be due your shot again, and you're picking back up. I think the biggest cons of being on NEBIDO is the general fear of needles. It's a lot of milligrams of medication to take in, so when you have a fear, it can be quite nerve-wracking every time you go in, and you get a lot of pre-shot anxiety. Another con is that it's also made me super hungry, like way more than when I was on Sustanon. I genuinely cannot stop eating, but this has worked in my favour. Going to the gym and working on my body has helped me better myself. Another con is that I have to have my medication administered at my GP, so I'm not allowed to self-inject NEBIDO. I was told this is because you can have oil bubbles in the medication, and if you self-inject them, they can enter your bloodstream and cause something similar to anaphylactic shock. So when they inject it, they make sure that you're near an oxygen supply in case something like that happens and you need to be treated. I'm going to show some voice clips now of when I first started testosterone on Sustanon, and you can compare that to my voice now that you're hearing in this video, being 9 months on NEBIDO.
My name is Evan, and this is my voice a few hours on testosterone, and this is my face. I just had a haircut and a dye job, and I've got dye on my forehead. Yeah, that's about it.
Hello, my name is Evan, and this is my voice. 5 months
on testosterone. I'm not very well, but yeah.
Overall, everyone wants something different with their transition. Some people prefer to go on gel and have a slow and steady climb, some people don't. But NEBIDO works best for my lifestyle and the amount of time that I have in a day. I definitely wouldn't be able to fulfill my needs at my full-time job if I was still on Sustanon having injections every 4 weeks. And also, NEBIDO was the last planned phase of my transition for me. I've had top surgery, I'm on hormones, I don't plan on getting bottom surgery. This was the big final step for me, so I'm super glad that I've managed to make it this far. If anyone has any questions about NEBIDO, I'd love to answer them. I really struggled to find any info on changing from Sustanon to NEBIDO when I started, so I'm hoping that this video is helpful for people that are maybe going through that challenge as well. Feel free to DM me on my Instagram, it will be in the description below, and I'll probably put it on the screen somewhere as well. Or leave a comment and I'll reply to that instead. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'm going to be able to make some more videos about my transition soon. I'm feeling very prideful at the moment and I want to be able to share my experiences to possibly help others. So if you want to support that, please subscribe. Anything would help. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Bye.